Hey everyone, this is Sandeep Bose, motivation speaker, communication trainer. Once again, welcome you all to a new episode of Passion Podcast, and this time it's a 2.0 version. So it's very interesting, and in this episode, I have a special guest, joining me all the way from USA. I know him since my Anudeep days. I'm really glad that he's joined today. He's Floyd. So let's welcome him. He's ready with us. So there we go. This is Net. So how are you doing, Net?
Hello. I'm well. How are you, Sandeep? It's good to be with you.
I'm doing really good. Thank you for asking. And I was just telling my viewers that it's been 6 7 months since I've started this podcast, right? And I started this podcast during the COVID, second wave when it hit India and it hit really hard. I
Yeah.
was one of them down with COVID and I was at home
Oh, bummer.
and I was not feeling well. I mean, physically as well as some psychological issues. So I thought that let's not waste the time, do something creative. And this idea popped up in my head that I will interview some of the inspirational, motivational people whom I think they are, and they are actually. So I am really happy and glad that all of them accepted my invitation and here today you are also here, so I'm really happy and glad that we are finally doing an episode. And
Me too.
it's been a long time since I'm
It
chasing
has.
you.
Thanks
Yeah,
for your patience. Yeah.
right. So how are you doing, Net, and how's life back in US?
Yeah. Thanks for the introduction. I'm sorry that you got COVID. That's a total bummer. I'm glad you seem to be doing better now, and this is a
Yeah,
great
yeah.
thing to come out of that, a silver lining. It's as a saying we have. So I I'm doing well. Yeah. Life in the United States is good for me personally, and
Mhm.
things are trending well overall. At least I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area in California,
Mhm. Okay.
and COVID is the numbers are pretty low. We're still wearing masks, but I think they're about to lift
Mhm.
that restriction in public
Mhm.
places. Um, yeah, and I'm enjoying my life. I'm doing work that I love and that motivates me
Mhm.
and fills my cup, and I have healthy relationships, and my family's doing good, and taking care of my body as best I can. So
Mhm. Good
nothing
to
to
good to
complain
know that.
about.
And did you get your both the jabs?
What was that?
Did you
Jabs?
get
Oh,
both
for
the
the
COVID?
yeah, I got my vaccination back in like April and May. So I'm due for my
Mhm.
third booster actually, probably about this point.
Right. Did you
Hmm.
get Pfizer?
I did Pfizer, yes.
Pfizer.
Hmm.
Right. Right. Yeah. So basically, Ned, see, I also told you that this show that and this podcast is about, it's like a passion podcast, right? You can
Yep.
understand by the name. So I invite all those people who have a deep passion for something in life. And I know you also have so many passions, which we see on your social networks that you are very physically active person. I see you
Hmm.
are a very hardworking guy, and I know that you are a very workaholic person. So you work a lot. I know that, and then also you get some time out for your passion and hobbies, right? So would you like to tell us like what are the things I can see that you are very physically you are very active, right? That we can see
Hmm.
from
Yep.
a normal point of view. But what are the things and what are the hobbies which you have which makes you happy and makes you live life to the fullest?
Hmm. It's a good question. I actually would consider my movement practice, my active lifestyle as my hobby more. It's what I
Mhm.
love to do. It fills my cup. As we were texting this morning, I go to the gym in the morning and I train for hours and I sauna and sweat and meditate and yeah. So I think it's a combination of my of being in my body and training, and I do that by myself. I also train in a community, so I go and meet with other people who are also interested in the same type of movement practice that I practice, and so we'll train together, often outside. So it kind of marks a lot of boxes. It's like we're getting in our body. It's physically challenging. It's often mentally challenging work that we're doing. We're in community. We're outside in the environment. And so that really
Mm.
fills my cup. And
Mm.
another important thing that I would consider a hobby, a passion, a a practice is my mindfulness practice. So every day,
Mm.
almost every day, probably 98% of the days of the year, I will sit and meditate in the morning for at least 20 minutes.
Right.
And that's another thing that really helps me be grounded in myself and
Mm.
centered, and I'm able to be the best version of myself as I take care of my mind in
Mm-hmm.
that way. Yeah. And then my work, I do work a lot, but I'm working on having more balance.
Mm.
And my work that I do is I'm now a holistic counselor. So I actually work with individuals
Okay.
doing therapeutic work, grow people that want to grow, people that want to be the best versions of themselves, people that want
Mm.
to heal
Mm-hmm.
traumas or past wounding from
Mm.
relationship or incidents that happen in their life.
Mm.
So I consider my work my passion as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh, I've been in touch with you for maybe more than 2 years, 3 years, and I've seen you going through some difficult phases of your life, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I remember when you came to India. That was your first trip to India in
Mm-hmm. That
2018,
was. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy your trip?
I did. Overall, I did. I did get sick for a
Mm.
few days, so that was a bummer. But besides that,
Yeah,
the people were
I,
wonderful. The food was wonderful. But being sick was a little rough. Yeah.
I remember you were struggling with some stomach bug and you have some wedding to attend that time, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what I want to ask you from your point of view, because you are from USA, right? And when you
Mm-hmm.
come to a country like India, India is a big country, you know that, and it has a
Yeah.
population, is the second largest populated country in the world after China. So when you come to India and when you come to a place like Kolkata, especially the rural areas, like where we work,
Yeah.
where we used to work for that company. It used to their main focus is on the rural areas. So when you come up to those areas, rural areas, what is the first thing comes into your mind? I mean, about not about India, but about those people, their cultures, their lifestyle, and their what is the first thing that strikes in your mind, because you're not from this place, you're from a
Yeah.
place which is more urbanized, right? You're not used to
I
see
I
these
do live in
things.
it. Yeah. Yeah. It's not as common for me to
Hmm.
see rural life in the way that I saw it in India. Um, the first the first thing that pops to mind is a curiosity. Like what is it like? What's a day in the life in people that live there? What things bring them joy? What things are hard for them? What are the problems they're trying to solve? What's family life like? What are their
Hmm.
beliefs? It's a curiosity. It's different, so I don't know, and I'm
Hmm.
curious to know, like, what would it be like to live for a day in the shoes of someone that lives out in, like, the rural parts of Kolkata, for example.
Hmm. Right. And as you know that India was under the dominance of British Empire for close to 200 years, right? So
Yeah,
when you travel
yeah,
the city, you will find out that major buildings, most of the heritage buildings are made by them. So they have a lot of influence in the city. Then also you will not see much of though that culture exist. It used to be. There are few parts of the city where if you go there, why I'm saying, because you came for the first time. So when you go to those places of the city, I don't know if you have traveled there, you will feel that you are in UK. They have that kind of culture, people, they have that those kind of attitude. But
hmm
majority of the India is rural India. And you're right, poverty is the biggest one of the biggest challenges that we have. And what
yeah.
that company I used to I'm not with that company anymore. So
Okay,
that company, what they used to do with with the Indian people, and I think you're still with the working for the same company. So I feel really happy and privileged that somehow we are able to make some commitments from our end to uplift them, right? So it takes a lot of effort and hard work and understanding people. It's not always easy, but
right.
so when you work in the US, you're primarily working since US, right? Since you when you started working.
Yeah, I've had a mix, and I left iMerit, so I don't work with iMerit anymore. I started my
Okay.
own business, and so that's what I
Right.
was mentioning. The holistic counseling work that I'm doing now is what I do. So
Hmm.
I left iMerit in August of this year, and
This year.
yeah. But to your question, I've mostly worked in the U.S. most of my career. I
Hmm.
did in 2015, no, 2014. I went and moved to Belize, which is in Central America, and actually it was a British colony until 1981, or a
Okay.
British. It was under the British rule until 1981, and I did some volunteer work there. So I lived in a city that was they had a lot of poverty, a lot of violence in Belize City, and yeah, I got to I was it was not my culture. I was an
Hmm.
outsider coming in, and it was a rich experience. I was there for about 6 months.
Hmm.
So I have had international experience
Hmm.
beyond working for iMerit, even though I was working in primarily in the United States, but still, it being an Indian company was new for me.
Yeah. So I was just going through your LinkedIn profile just to have a research, on your
Uh-huh.
career, and you are working since I think 13 years, 13 plus years since you're working, and
Yeah, I graduated university in 2010, so I did some internships before then. So, but yeah, about 12, 13 years.
so you have worked in companies like Crowdflower, right?
Hmm.
And also iMerit. So these two companies are primarily they're working on the AI and ML, right? So how's your experience working on this technology? Because this is something is going to change the world in the next few years, right? So
Yeah,
do you
it's
think
already
like that,
changing the
or
world.
already changing the world? And in US, I think
Yeah,
most of the self-driving cars are there in the streets. And if I'm not wrong, in Dubai also, if you go, they are using that technology, right? So can you
yeah,
tell us more about this? How this going to change the world, our world? Because you have seen this
sure.
very closely.
Yeah, yeah, in San Francisco. So the cars are not yet self-driving, but the cars that are collecting the data
Mm.
to eventually become self-driving are here. So they're all over the place. There's many. Every time I go drive into San Francisco, I
Mm.
see
Mm.
cars from Cruise or from Argo or from some of these other companies that are investing in creating
I think
self-driving cars.
Google
But
Google is working on it.
yeah, it's Google Waymo. I think Google's Waymo, I believe. And so,
Mm.
yeah, there's everybody's trying to get at it in multiple ways. The pandemic has certainly impacted it. I think Uber was trying to be a big player in that, but Uber was
Yeah.
hit pretty hard with the pandemic. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But the AI and ML isn't just computer vision, right? It's also I met a friend last night. He's working for a company, an AI ML company that is
Mm.
doing revenue operations and invoicing in the medical field. So to make sure
Yeah.
that people are
Yeah.
getting billed correctly. In the US, the insurance industry is such a mess. And it's very confusing, and people get billed for the wrong thing all the time. And then it's actually very
Mm.
hard to then get your money back if they basically like build you incorrectly, and it's a big mess. So it's
Mm.
hitting every industry, and it's being done in a lot of ways, and so it's already making a big difference. I mean, just using Siri on the phone or Alexa
Right.
in people's
Mm.
homes for Amazon, and um, they're and shopping recommendations. All of that is AI ML, and so it impacts our life. It influences us probably in lots of ways aren't even aware yet. But it's been interesting being a part of iMerit, being part of Crowdflower. When I was at Crowdflower, people didn't really talk about AI ML. It was still a little early from 2012 to
Mm.
14. They
Mm.
started becoming more of a catchphrase in like 2016, 2015, 2016. And then it just
Yeah.
was a big wave, and all these companies were created, like iMerit and Honordeep obviously supporting iMerit, and
Mm. Mm.
um, many companies contributing in lots of different
Yeah.
ways
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
growth and development of this entire movement of humanity and of
Mm.
technology. Yeah.
Yeah. So are you a big fan of Elon Musk?
I hmm. I probably have mixed feelings about Elon Musk. I think I like him. I admire his drive and
Mm.
his ingenuity and his creativity. I think what I understand of him as a person, he's very intense and kind of harsh.
Mm. Mm.
You know, um, yeah, people that have worked at Tesla or SpaceX or other companies, I've heard it's a very intense environment. My philosophy is much more of a kind of holistic, peaceful, loving way to be in the world. Um, you know, like I actually was thinking about him sending spaceships to Mars. I think I woke up this morning thinking
Right,
about it. So
right.
it impacts me, but how I actually think that would be, I think it won't go well. I think the further people get away from Earth and from life, they will
Mm.
feel less connected to life, and they'll probably become very depressed, and probably I mean, if they actually send humans to Mars, they're going on a death mission. They're going to die out there. They're not going to come back. So to me, that's just depressing. But that's what. But it's interesting. He wants to
Mm.
expand
Develop.
humanity. Yeah, I appreciate what he's doing with Tesla and that he's trying to change the alternative energy, but then spreading us through the universe.
Mm.
There's a big assumption that
Mm.
we need to survive, and that like death is
Right.
something to avoid, that extinction is something to avoid.
Yeah, I have one question related to this, but I'll come to it later because now since we have talked about him, so one thing which amazed me a lot that he never studied in any university, the rocket
Mm.
science. He is a self-taught rocket scientist, and
Mm-hmm.
he went to Russia to purchase some rockets. But the way they spoke to him, he didn't like, and he came back to US and he studied rocket science and he made some reusable rockets, and many failures. After that, now he's the sole. I mean, what to say? He's providing rockets to NASA for their all this launches and all. And you're right that he's going to go. He's launching a spaceship, so where it will take people to the Mars. Many billionaires buying tickets for that. And yeah, my next question is related to this. That uh, with technology, we are so much into technology that we are not looking at ourselves, right? Our body and all, because earlier there used to be no mobiles, there was no internet, and people used to walk a lot. Even in India, you will be amazed, there was no connectivity from a rural town to the city. There's nothing, no transportation, so people used to walk like 100 200 miles. They used to walk to travel. So suppose you have an interview next day, you start walking 2 days prior from your village so that you can reach by in time, right?
Yeah.
And they are used to super fit, healthy, no such disease over there except the cholera and all, like pandemic. So do
Yeah.
you think that too much technology and too much this device and gadgets are making people obsessive and lazy and stuff?
I believe that, yeah, it's its own form of pandemic of our addiction to these devices. And
Hmm.
I mean, you can't anywhere in the world now. If I go to India, if I go to Europe, if I anywhere in the US, if I get on a bus or a train or an airport, go to an airport and a plane, like more than half of the people are looking down at their
Always.
phones. They're not engaged with the external world. They're not feeling into their
Yeah.
body. They're in their mind. And I'm it happens to me. It happens to everyone. They're
Yeah.
very, they work
Addictive.
they access a deep part of our brain. I don't know if you've seen the documentary, The Social Dilemma. Have you seen that?
No, not it.
It's on Netflix. I recommend it. It kind of
Okay,
goes
I'll
into the
check.
dilemma of our addiction to social media and what social media does. And they interview the guy who created the like button, and like the
Yeah.
intention behind it was to like pass some good news around, or but then it's become this thing where like it's attached to our serotonin in our brain, and and if we don't get the likes, then we feel really bad about ourselves, and people become
Yeah.
depressed, and people have committed suicide. Like it's created a lot more.
Yeah.
It's created good and it's created bad, and I think
Right.
we're in a period of time where we have to learn how to use it as a tool, not as an addiction, not as a yeah, like a thing that's hurting us. So, and some people have figured that out, and then they're very powerful people, but it takes a lot of discipline, and yeah.
Yeah. So again, I want to say you just mentioned that you want to live your life with peace and happiness, and you are going towards the holistic, spiritual and all this stuff. Even I
Mm-hmm.
also believe in the same thing because see, we have one life, right? And if we are dedicating that one life in this race called life, many people think that life is a race, and you have to wake up early in the morning and then you have to go for a run, like a race. Treat life as a race, but it's not. Actually, life is very beautiful. You need to enjoy your moments and all. And when I see you do all those activities and enjoy. I feel that you are in that job also, right? But you are enjoying yourself, right? Most importantly. So do you think that two things can continue? We can continue simultaneously if you have a hobby or a passion about something, and you are in a job, because everybody can't quit their job and follow their passion. It's very difficult. In India also, I think every part of the world is it's same. If you have a family to look after, so how one should approach if somebody wants to have a passion and they should make that passion to their profession, how one should approach towards it, and at the same time they need to work, right?
Hmm.
So how should one should approach? What is your take on it?
I
Is
think,
it possible at all to follow both? I mean, do both?
yeah, yeah. I think I'm an example of that. While I was working at iMerit, I found my passion to do therapeutic work with people. And so nights and weekends, I I went back to school and I took classes and I studied and I practiced and I learned new ways of holding therapeutic containers for people. And then I actually began at the beginning of 2020 my own holistic guiding practice. So I would see clients at night or on the weekends, and I started
Mm-hmm.
building my own business, and it's my passion to do this type of work.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Right.
took about a year and a half because of some financial situations. So I just slowly and patiently built my business until I got to a point where I had enough clients to sustain me with my monthly
Mm-hmm.
expenses. And so that's when I told iMerit that I was ready to leave because my passion had had reached a level where I could start my
Mm-hmm.
career. Um, I have to acknowledge that I have some privilege in this, that I had the finances. I don't have a family to take care of. At the beginning of that, though, I did have a partner at the time, and she was,
Yeah.
I was her caretaker. She was dealing with cancer. She's
Mm-hmm.
alive and well, but
Mm-hmm.
there were a lot of pressures, but I just, yeah, like you said, there's this one life, and I just
Mm-hmm.
knew that that's what I wanted to do. So I was going to figure out how to do it. And I didn't know how it was going to work out, but I just started. So I think that's my answer to your question is, if someone has a passion, take the pressure off that it ever needs to become your career. Like, just
Mm-hmm.
don't worry about that. And just start. Just every day, spend 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Like, just show up to your passion. It could
Mm-hmm.
be playing an instrument. It could be painting. It could be singing. It could be learning about crypto. It could be anything. And it's just like, go spend a little bit of time each day. We
Mm-hmm.
all overestimate what we can get done in a week. We underestimate what we can get done in a year.
Mm-hmm. Right, very well said. Next question. My next question is, I don't know whether you believe it or not. Do you believe in karma? Do you know this meaning, this word karma?
Yeah.
What goes
I would,
around comes around.
yeah,
Yeah.
I do. I hold, I hold an opening, um, to karma and karmic energy and karmic working. And I'm open to past lives and to the continuation of consciousness. That's kind of always been, it's kind of this infinite thing. And yeah, I think,
Mm.
I don't know if I know what well, sometimes I say that the families we're born into are our karmic families, and then the friends and that we choose to like spend our time with and lives with are our spiritual families. So we're born into families to work some stuff out. I don't know if that's true, but I do think I say that sometimes.
Okay. Now, what do you see nowadays? Because of COVID, and then the life is not the regular one. It's totally changed. Now everything is online, and there are many situations. Many people
Hmm.
took advantage of this situation by, I don't know about your country, but in India, many people tried to utilize this situation. They were selling high priced medicines. They were taking a lot of money for ambulances, oxygen cylinders, beds, hospital beds. So fake reports, many fake reports were coming that you are positive or you are negative. Next day, that person died. Like, so many bad things happen. So I mean, again, this point will come that whatever goes around comes around. But do you think that those people who are doing this, or those people who are taking advantage of the situation, uh, these people will get their karma? What do you think? Or it is like they will walk away with clean hands?
It's a big question. I don't know what will happen to them. I think it's
Yeah.
unfortunate that they took advantage of people, and I think a part of me feels saddened by that, and a part of me feels angry, and a part of me feels compassionate. I think hurt people hurt people. So
Mhm.
there is likely suffering that is already going on within them to lead. When I see other, I'll, I see in myself when I do hurtful
Mm.
things to people,
Mm.
it's often because I am hurting inside. And so
Mm.
I don't believe in punishment. Um, I'm curious more about uh, a repair process. Like, how do you heal from that? How do you instead of dividing people
Mm.
and saying, oh, you did
Mm.
these bad
Mm.
things, let's punish you, and then that will be this
Mm.
cycle of violence that continues for generations and
Mm.
generations. It's like, how do we stop that cycle of violence and taking advantage of
Mm.
each other, and and support each other, and be like, oh, like, why did you do that, and how can we help each other not do that
Mm.
again in the future?
Yeah. So what I feel is that the lives are very difficult, and people have become very greedy. Everywhere
Uh-huh.
we see, everybody is trying to climb the ladder, and in doing that, they are not looking there if they're harming other people, and so much of jealousy and
Yeah.
hatred for other person. I think world was not this kind of in this kind of state, and we are going in a very dangerous state. Everybody is
Mm-hmm.
trying to compete with each other, right? Nobody wants to help other people. They
Yeah.
they don't want other people to succeed. If they're succeeding, they try to pull that person down, right? How he is getting success? He and me at the same place. How is getting success? So this kind of peoples are there, and it's very tough. Sometimes it gets very tough to survive in anywhere. Like if you have a passion, also in India, I'm telling you, if you have a passion, if you want to become an actor or if you want to become a singer, right? So suppose you have the talent and you want to achieve your goal, your vision, but this thing happens that somebody will say something, or maybe there's a political pressure or something or the other, and
Mm-hmm.
if you are the deserving person, then you'll be ruled out because you can't make everyone happy.
That's
this
true.
this
You
this
can't
this
make
that
everyone happy.
this thing happens in your country also.
Where there's outcomes that don't seem fair.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So how
Yeah.
to deal, because this show is being watched by so many young children, men and women from all over India, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I have worked with physically challenged students for a long time. So majority of them are watching and will be watching this podcast. Sometimes they feel very demotivated because the opportunities for them is very limited, and if they're not getting one opportunity, they think that the end of life. Their parents are at a very sad mental state because of their situation, and also this problem of getting jobs and all. So if somebody faces this kind of rejection, if they are not able to do something many times, like 5 to 6, maybe more than 10 times, and if they seem that life is ending, nothing is working, they're going in depression, how they bounce back, if they can bounce back, and how they bounce back, and how they should approach this difficult phase to go through.
It's another big question, Sandeep.
No, I want
Um,
your opinion, because you have been a workaholic person. I have seen you, and you are you whatever you do, you put your 100%, right? So I want you to give a message, a strong message to this community, that how they can uplift themselves, like how you did it. So similar tips or anything which motivates them or inspires them to become their
yeah.
best version.
Yeah.
What is the secret?
I do believe there's no substitute for hard work, and there's a combination of working smart, but I also it's it, it's hard for me. I mean, I was born into this white male body in America, which is its own privilege and luck. Like, I didn't choose it. And that affords me a lot of access to things that not everyone in the world gets. It's not fair. It's not an equal system. It's not a just system all the time, unfortunately. But to your question of like, what is it? I mean, I guess it's just believing that it can be better. It's like holding on to a story. It's like we get to choose the stories that we live by. And I want to, for myself, live a story that I can continually grow, expand my consciousness, expand my capacity to love and to achieve and learn and to struggle and suffer and all of it, and just become more fully myself. And some people have stories that life is suffering and that it's not worth it, and that's the story that they live. I think maybe it's hard to realize that it's a choice. I think it takes doing some deep internal introspective work, some spiritual work, to realize that there's agency to choose the stories that we choose to live our life by. So I wasn't aware that I chose these stories until later in life. It was like, oh, I've been living my life according to these beliefs and these stories that that maybe I deserve these things, or that I was going to do well in life. And so I manifested that because I believed it. It doesn't always happen that way, I think, but I don't know. So I think it's a bit of a mindset and attitude, and it's also a humility and a real honesty with oneself of where they're at and what's real. But I do think anything is possible for anyone. The human mind is the greatest invention in the universe. The human mind has created this entire world, like every building, every technology. It came from the human mind. And all of us have human minds, so we have access to it. Not all minds, the mind is a tool that we can sharpen. We can train it. We can teach it things, and then it can be an ally to us if we don't take care of our minds. I've seen it in myself. I'm talking about social media. It becomes a nuance. It becomes a thing that actually makes my life worse.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you're saying that dreams do come true if you are a hardworking person, if you believe in yourself, if you're honest, and if you are ready to sacrifice what it takes, right?
I would like to say that I think it's possible that dreams can come true with, the right conditions. It's not guaranteed, but might as well go for it.
Right. So you are now in a position where you are mentoring people, you are helping other people, right? I am
Yes.
also in a position where I teach people how they can speak in English and motivate them and mentoring them.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
nowadays there's a lot of platforms, online platforms like YouTube is there. Then there is some other websites, apps are available where people can get whatever they want by paying some kind of money. So do you think that that's enough, or students or young people, it's not young people, anybody can learn anything at any stage of their life, right? So do you think that having a mentor is important to reach your destination, or it's like that you can go to YouTube and you can do anything? What do you say, suggest?
I think, the access to information now is better than it's ever been, and it continues to be better than it's ever been in the history of mankind. So like you said, Elon Musk learned how to be a rocket scientist on his own. People can learn how to be programmers. They can learn how to be scientists, mathematicians, bloggers, authors. They can learn how to write books, like, with mostly free content online. It's insane. It's wild. It's mind blowing that we can do this. With that, so I think people can go very, very far with self-education and finding courses and finding teachers, which I do think finding a mentor can be really helpful. If you know what you want to do, or you meet someone in life that you're like, oh, I like the way you're living, and I like the work that you're doing, and I want more of that in my life. Like, ask them to be your mentor. I did have a mentor the last 4 years that helped me get to where I am. I'm actually switching my mentorship relationship right now, but it helped me a lot to have someone that paved the way. Like, he already did what I wanted to do, So I was like, okay, like tell me how you did it, and then I'll do it myself, and it'll be my own way of my own personal expression of that. But it was very helpful to have a mentor. Yeah.
Great. And do you have any person whom you look up to since your childhood? And can you talk about something about your childhood and also a person whom you look up to? Because see, in our country, since we have a large country, there are many famous people. Like every country has a
Mm-hmm.
famous people, but you know, India
Mm-hmm.
is known for cricket. India is known for Bollywood movies. So young people, they tend to follow these great celebrities,
Yep.
right? So when you
Yep.
are growing up at that point of time, do you have anybody at your home or maybe in the neighborhood or in your city whom you look up to? And you want to become like that person or any celebrities you follow? Your inspiration.
Yeah, when I was growing up as a kid, I was in love with Michael Jordan. I was very much into sports and athletics. So like Michael Jordan, Steve Young, and like Jerry Rice on the San Francisco 49ers. So NFL football. And when I was like in more middle school, I was more into football. So I was watching like, Arsenal, like Thierry Henry and David Beckham and uh, Rooney on Manchester United, and all these, yeah, like footballers that I just admired their athleticism and the way they played the game. Those were mostly the people that I looked up to growing up. Um, now right now I'm inspired by my therapist. I do therapy and I have my own
Mhm.
therapist, and she's lovely. I've been working with her for 2 years, and I'm learning a lot from her. And I'm inspired by people that I see who are, yeah, like really creative, and who are doing good things in the world. I hung out with a friend this week. He lives in Oakland, which is it's an urban area. There, it's kind of, there's sometimes trash in the streets. There's a mix of socioeconomic statuses. There's poverty, there's violence, there's a mix of things, and he just sometimes goes out and just cleans the neighborhood. He does like beautification. He'll paint. If something's ugly, he'll paint it and make it beautiful, and just like on his own, with his own money and his own time, and that inspires me. I look up to him. Yeah.
Nice. And do you have anybody like even till now you get inspired in your family? Anybody, your father or anybody whom you think that you wanted to become like him, the way he handles things, situations?
Yeah. When I was a kid, I very much looked up to my father. Yeah. He's very playful and very active. He's also very physically fit. Still, he's 64 years old now, and he's very strong and very fit. He's probably in better hiking shape and running shape. He's in better hiking shape than me for sure. Yeah, so it's I look up to my father, and he's worked hard and he committed to taking care of his family, and yeah, and he's always holds optimism. He's certainly, a lot of the way I am is because of him, and so I appreciate how my father has raised me.
Okay, so if I tell you, since you have a lot of experience in this profession also, if I tell you to say three things about corporate world, which you have learned in this 13 years of experience, what are the three things you have learned from this corporate world?
Hmm, good question. The first thing that was coming to mind is about professionalism, and so holding myself in a way that can be balanced and just and fair, and tries to take in many considerations, and in a way that it makes it effective, made me effective and efficient and productive to get things done, to achieve goals, to help move things forward in organizations. I learned that through the corporate world, which I'm grateful for. I can turn that part of me on when I need to. I I don't. I still hold professionalism, and I know how to hold boundaries in a healthy way, which is great. So I would say that I'm glad I learned about that. Um,
Okay.
I also learned that I had this story that like professionalism and the corporate world were also very like structured and organized, and it's way messier than I than it look like from the
Looks
outside.
like.
It's a bunch of humans with their emotions, and they have good days and
Mm,
bad days, and they get angry
mm,
and they get sad
mm,
and they get
mm,
greedy or jealous or hurt,
mm,
or they're
mm,
confident one day and they're not confident the
mm,
other day.
mm,
And there's politics, and
mm.
it's humans at the end of the day. So really, like,
Yeah,
corporations is like understanding human psychology, and
yeah.
um,
Mm,
yeah, it's like a fascinating way to understand humanity. Um, and then yeah, I think maybe the third thing is that, like, many hands make light work. Like, a lot of people organized around
mm.
a mission, around a goal, and
Goal.
like it's amazing what a large group of people can do when they're focused on the same thing.
Same thing.
I didn't,
Yeah.
it's like really
Teamwork, right?
experiencing. Yeah, absolutely. That many roles
Mm,
contribute to building things out, and it's pretty
mm,
cool. It's like learning that experientially. I think maybe I kind of like understood that intellectually, but then when I was a
mm,
part of it, that
mm.
was pretty special.
Yeah. So you were talking about mental health also, and as we all know that our mind is the most powerful tool in this world, right? As I was
Hmm.
watching one interview yesterday of Deepak Chopra. You know Deepak Chopra?
Hmm.
Yeah. So he's 75 now. So somebody asked him this question that how can I be more braver? So he said that do things which makes you uh, do things which you fear the most, right? So if somebody do you also believe in this way, and do you how one should develop their mental strength, because life is a game, everybody says, and they need to play with their mind. So how they can improve their brain capabilities?
Yeah, it's a good question. I do believe, look, like, growth begins at the edge of the comfort zone, going and looking, doing the hard things, looking at the hard things. But I think there's a nuance of being honest with oneself of what is the edge for them. It's very personal. What might be scary for me might not be scary for other people. They may have maybe way beyond that, or they just don't are scared about other things than I'm not. And so it's a really a personal journey to, like, what is my edge? Where is that fear? And you don't have to blow through it and go way beyond it, but just to meet it and go a little further, just a little further. And I think that builds the strength slowly. It's like people that go to the gym every day for 10 years build a foundation of strength and flexibility in their bodies. People that, like, go on a diet and then they work really hard for 8 weeks and they sit on a couch for 8 weeks, like, that's not sustainable, and it doesn't create a lifestyle of physical strength. It's the same thing for mental strength. So show up every day and do the mental conditioning, meditate, do focus work. If people are not prone to psychosis, or they don't have like family that has like any schizophrenia, or like if they don't have a history of mental illness in the family, they could do things like a vipassana, like go do a silent meditation retreat. But that's with the caveat that if anybody is prone to mental illness, it's not safe for people. Like, some people can have a psychotic break and they can basically lose their mind, and it's quite disruptive. So, but I've done a 10-day silent meditation retreat. It was a vipassana. It comes from India and Sri Lanka, and it comes from that part of the world, from your part of the
Yeah.
world. That was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But it was mental boot camp. My mind got so much sharper and stronger from just meditating for 10 hours a day for 10 days and not talking. Yeah.
How you do it? Because I also tried to do meditation, but I failed miserably. And I can do it for 1 day, 2 day, but doing continuously, it's a challenge for me. And I believe that most of the people who are watching this show, it's a challenge for them as well, because
Yeah, that's hard.
time is a constraint, definitely. And how you continue that thing? Do you have to believe that this is going to help us heal our body or
Hmm.
heal our mind? This is the
Yeah.
belief that we should do. I mean, how you
Yeah.
should approach towards it.
Yeah. Like you said, our mind is like the most powerful tool. And if our mind isn't well, like, you can have the most perfectly fit physical body, but if you don't have your mind's health, if your mind isn't healthy, the quality of life is not good. You
Yeah.
have to, all of our entire quality of life is dependent upon our minds. And it relates to our body. If we take care of our body, our mind feels healthier. We are obviously doing things that are challenging, that requires discipline. But to your question on meditation, it is challenging to make it a habit. What I've done, what's worked for me is I found a meditation app, and so I found my meditation teacher. There's this app called the Waking Up course by Sam
Okay.
Harris.
Let me
It's on
write
the
it
app.
down.
It's on the App Store. I've had friends, I've had my clients, I've recommended it. People who said, I've never been able to have a consistent meditation
Mm,
practice,
mm,
start working with that app. There's a 30-day course, and then there's a fresh meditation every day, a 10 or 20-minute one. I have been consistently meditating now for months, years at this point, where they like never were successful before. So there's
mm.
something about this app that I think is really
What is
accessible
the
and
name of this
sticky.
app? Once again,
It's
if you
called
say.
the Waking Up course
Oh, okay.
by
Is
Sam
it
Harris.
something, Sam Harris? Is it something that people have to do in early in the morning, or they can do it at any
Whenever they
time,
want, any time of the day.
whenever they want?
I
Yeah.
I the way that I'm consistent, the way that I actually do it every day is my habit
Mm,
now is I wake up and I go
mm,
meditate. I don't do anything else
mm,
first. I'll go to the bathroom and then I go meditate.
mm,
Because if I don't do it right away, the look at my phone, I get emails, I start my work day, and then it's all of a sudden it's nighttime and I'm tired and I'm
mm,
busy and I'm
mm,
hungry and I don't meditate. So the way that I actually do it every day is I just do it first thing.
mm. Right, right.
That's what works for me. If I had a dog, it might not be the first thing because I might have to take my dog out and then I would have to do it
Mm,
after, but I
mm,
don't have a
mm.
dog.
So, according to you, any time of the day is a perfect time to do meditation, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I like it in the morning because the mind
Mm,
hasn't started getting busy and distracted. So
mm,
it's like the analogy I like to use is imagine you have a guitar
mm,
and the strings they get out of tune. So when we go to sleep, our unconscious gets all active and things are working themselves out in the dream world. We wake up and it's like our guitar isn't in tune.
mm,
So if I want my instrument to sound good throughout the day,
mm,
I should
mm,
tune it first thing in the day,
mm,
So
mm.
meditation is like tuning the
Tuning
guitar
your,
so
yeah.
it sounds good. The quality of my day is better when I meditate earlier. But some days it doesn't happen, and usually I'll realize it by like 3 p.m. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to meditate, and so I just turn on no notifications and I'll just sit down and I'll meditate for 20 minutes.
Do you play any kind of music or without silent meditation, right? Without
I
music.
meditate well, the app, so Sam Harris like gives you
Mm,
prompts and talks you through it. There's silence
mm,
and there's talk, but yeah, I don't have music. Some people that works. Some people do sound
mm,
healing. They like listening
mm,
to sound healing and that helps their brain relax, but it's
mm,
also the meditation I do isn't about just relaxing. It's about noticing what my mind is like and noticing what is reality
mm,
and coming back to the present moment and not getting stuck
mm,
in the planning of the future and thinking and getting lost in thought. I'm trying to come back to what is actually
mm,
real right now. Like right
mm,
now, I can hear background noises. I can see you.
mm,
I can feel. I can feel like some sensation in the back of my body. I can feel
mm.
pulsing in my legs. That's here right now. That's real to me. But sometimes I just imagine I'm just in imagination land, which is okay. But I want to be
Mm.
aware that I'm in imagination land.
Got it. Got it. So, my next question is: we are almost at the end of the show, so we
Mhm.
have few more. I have few more questions for you because it's very difficult to get your time. So, since we got you, really want to
Yeah.
ask you a couple of more questions. So,
Hmm.
what was the role of your family in your development?
Everything. They're the people that completely influenced my life. They were
Mm,
they for better and for worse, my family completely impacted my development. Obviously, friends and school and other organizations and the culture had its impact, but I would say the
mm,
family had a very big impact on who I am. Yeah. So my mom and dad, and I have a younger brother. Um, we moved around a bunch when I was a child. My dad was a civilian, but he worked for the U.S. Air Force, so I actually lived in um, every 2 years we moved homes until I was 13 years old. We lived in Texas, then we lived in Germany and Holland and Europe, and then we lived in
mm,
Northern California, Northern Virginia, and then back to Northern
mm,
California. So we moved a lot. And
mm,
so my
mm,
family was my unit. And so I was learning from and growing with. And so they've taught me how to work hard and to, you know, to try to do well in my pursuits and academics, athletics. They supported my social energy, and I'm a very extroverted social person, and they supported all my athletics. They drove me to sporting events, and they helped pay for my interest and passions, and yeah.
Mhm.
And there were things that they did where my parents were always doing their best, but some things that didn't work for me. And so that's okay. As I'm an adult, I have to learn how to unlearn things and relearn the way that I want to do them.
Mhm. Absolutely. We all have our own opinions and way of living life. So, right. So, you talked about your inspiration and David Beckham, and I also, very much fascinated the way he uh, played his game, and also now also the way he leads his family life. It's very interesting. And I think as a celebrity or as a famous person, you have many pressures on yourself. Like, definitely if you're a famous footballer, have a pressure of the game, and then you become a coach, you have a lot of pressure. Family is there and you need to take care. So today only I saw that Javi, Javi is the new coach of Barcelona. So he used to be a, you don't know, yeah.
No, I don't track football anymore.
Hmm. So I want to ask you that these players, these are all great players, right? We definitely we are mesmerized by their style of playing and their how they conduct themselves. We follow them. So do you think that with hard work and passion, anybody can achieve the level of these great players, or it's that only a God-gifted talent that they already have genetically? Or is it with the right coach, right diet, right food, and with hard work? Anybody can do it. What is you think?
I think it's a blend of both. Yeah, I think talent can take one so far, and the other part of the equation is really hard work and dedication and luck. I wanted to play soccer collegiately and would have loved, like, my dream was to be a professional soccer player, but I worked pretty hard at it, but wasn't quite good enough.
Hmm.
I ended up playing rugby in college, in the college, and I played at a top on a top team at a top university, and had mixed success. But like some of my friends went on to play professional rugby for the U.S. national team, and they went and played pro in England and France and New Zealand, and um, but they were talented and they worked hard. So
Hmm.
it's a mix. Yeah, but I don't think the thing is you don't know until you try hard and work for it. So you might, like, if you want to have that as your dream, like, absolutely go for it. The only way to find out is by going for
Work
it.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only way it's possible. If you don't go try to make it happen, it will definitely won't happen. It's not going to
Hmm.
just fall in your lap.
Right. Do you sing? Do you have a guitar which you play and sing?
A little bit, yeah. I do have a guitar.
Right. So
Yeah.
did you learn it, or it's only that seeing videos and shows?
I actually want to take lessons. I've never taken official lessons. This is one of those
Hmm.
things. I learned on, like, YouTube and tabs, but I'm still very much a beginner. But I desire to become more proficient. I would like to be an intermediate guitar player. That would be awesome. Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So one more question before you go. I want to ask you here is what was the most difficult phase in your life so far? Definitely, if you want to discuss. If you are
Hmm.
not comfortable, then no need. What was the most difficult phase of your life so far? And when you are facing that, what was your mental state and how you dealt with that?
Yeah.
If you don't want to talk about it, then you can say
No,
that how
I'm,
you
I'm
kept
open.
yourself.
I'm,
Yeah,
I'm open.
yeah.
Um, the most difficult stage of my life was a few years ago, when my partner, she was diagnosed with cancer,
Mhm.
and we had to move. We had to change everything in our life. We had plans, and we had big plans and dreams to do things, and that just disappeared because all that became important was to support her to get the treatment that she needed and to hopefully survive and not die.
Mhm.
Um, and I was working full time. I was beginning my training to do my holistic counseling work.
Mm.
I was kind of isolated from my community and friends, and so I was pretty scared and stressed and anxious. I think I got a little depressed, and it was hard. It was really hard. And so I didn't do I had a hard time asking for help, and I needed help. And I think it was harder because of that. I think had I been able to ask for help more clearly, it would have been good. But I was also so scared and stressed and anxious that I didn't even know exactly what I needed. It was hard to ask for what I needed. I just knew I needed help. I was like, I need help. I don't know what that means or what that looks like, but I just need help. And I didn't really, I tried to, this is maybe the flip side of being a hard worker or workaholic or self-reliant, was I was trying to like, I can do it, and I needed support. And that part of my personality that wants to like take the world on his shoulders and do it by himself, like made it really hard for me. Yeah, that was rough. And it was like about a year long journey, and it was hard afterwards too, but she got through it. She's alive and well, and all her cells are happy and well, but that was rough. Yeah.
Okay. Everybody goes through, some kind of situation in their life,
Yeah,
and
of course.
I was working for this company where I was working with physically challenged students, right?
Uh-huh.
So it was like Anudeep, but it was different. So their life is really, pathetic because they don't have, many of them don't have limbs, they can't see properly, they can't hear you, they can't speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
Patients with cerebral palsy, then mentally retarded students. I was not able to face any mentally retarded, but cerebral palsy, a movie was made in Hollywood. uh, I forgot the name of this movie, but I think Daniel Day Lewis was work. He won the Oscar for acting. My left foot, yeah, I remember my left foot. So he was a painter basically. So their life is very pathetic, and more than them, what I find that their parents' life is pathetic because even they know that when they will leave this world, nobody is there to look after their kids. So it is a huge, huge challenge. And I was doing this research and we are in this training. So I learned that they have 70% more stress levels than a normal human being.
Mm. Yeah.
So it's really, so when we see them, na, yeah, when we see them, then we find that, okay, we are so, as you mentioned, we are so privileged that we have everything. So we need to work really hard, to achieve whatever goals we have, to support something, some greater cause, right? So the last question, Nate, on this show, Passion Podcast 2.0, it's a reincarnation for this show with your arrival. So how we make this world is a better place to live for the next generation, or not only for next generation, for us also, because we are only on our 30s, so we have a lot of life, I believe.
Yeah.
So yeah, so how we make this world a better place to live.
Mm. I my belief, um, my belief is that it begins with ourselves. Like, how do we love ourselves and accept ourselves more fully? How do we heal our wounds? And then that will extrapolate. That will translate to making the world a better place. So, how do I take care of myself? How do I take care of my body? How do I treat my body with love and care, and make sure that I'm balanced in myself, and that will help others. And there's a flip. Sometimes I've watched it in myself and other people get lost in our own story. And then the best thing to do is go help other people. Go get out of your ego. Go get out of your story and go help people who, I wouldn't use the word pathetic, but that people that have been dealt unfair cards in life, that are facing very difficult, challenging, just challenges that are very different than mine. And that if I woke up in that body and that mind, like, it'd be very different. And yeah, and so to just be compassionate and kind and loving and supportive of ourselves and of others. I think that that would do a lot. And there's work to do on like, yeah, like ending violence and not being violent with ourselves. You know, like when you talk about hardworking, I've noticed in myself in the past that sometimes I was violent with myself, like, oh, I got to do this, or that wasn't good enough.
Mm.
That doesn't help me be a better person. It makes me more violent. It makes me more harsh. And so I'm trying to bring more peace to myself and how I talk to myself, how I care for myself, how I care for my friends and family. And it's hard work. You know, I'm very conditioned. There's a lot of greed and anger and, and, and hatred in the world. And it's like how to heal that. And
Mm.
that's what I'm supporting is how do we love ourselves? How are we gentle with ourselves? And then that will translate to how we make the world a better place too. And to extend it beyond humans, it's all life, all plants, all animals, all bugs, all reptiles. It's all a miracle that it exists. So how to treat it
Mm.
all with love and respect and care.
So you are a vegan, or you eat?
I do eat some meat actually,
Mm. Mm.
and I go back and forth. I actually ate the last month vegetarian, but then I had some meat the other night. Um,
Mm.
I give thanks to the spirit of the animal and understanding that it is a part of the cycle of life and death.
Mm.
Um, but it's, yeah, I realize there's probably some hypocrisy in that. But acknowledging that death is a part of the cycle of life too. I
Mm.
hope that, and I try to be intentional with the animals that I do eat, that they come from farms that are sustainably raising and sustainably or humanely killing them, and so that they aren't
Mm.
suffering, and it's not like
Mm.
an unhealthy
Mm.
life,
Mm.
that they were lived a good life even though they were born to become food.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So
All right.
even I want to become vegetarian, but it's really very difficult. You know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it for 6 months at a time.
Mm.
It's just a choice. It's hard with it takes. I acknowledge I have privilege to be able to do it. I have the finances to do it. I don't live with other people, so it's my choice to what I eat. If you live with family and people are cooking food for you, it becomes more challenging. But if
Mm.
you want to do it, you could do it. It's just it takes some planning and then commitment.
Mm.
Yeah.
I just want to conclude this, but before that, I see many people in our country also. There are, as you mentioned, many monasteries and alls, mutts and all, where monks used to live. Their life is very disciplined. They wake up early in the morning. They eat vegetarian food, and it's very disciplined. They don't take much rest, and they help other people like social causes and charity. Um so it's very difficult if you want to keep yourself like that, eating vegetarian food and very
Mm-hmm.
disciplined life, mentally and physically. You have to do everything by yourself. There's nothing like no machines. Also, you have to clean your own clothes, utensils, cook your
Mm-hmm.
own food and all, especially in the mountain areas in our country, in the eastern part of the country. Have you been to Shillong? I mean, it has a center there.
No,
No, yeah.
I haven't been. I wanted to go, but yeah, it didn't work out.
Yeah, so they are very hardworking people, and they give us a lot of motivation. It's difficult, yeah. So thank you so much, Net, for joining at this time.
You're welcome, Sandeep.
It's late at night
Yeah,
in India, but
get some
I
rest.
was really looking forward for your participation in this podcast, and you have motivated me as a person, truly. And I wanted you to come to my show and to inspire other people who are feeling low, or maybe they are going through tough times in their life. We all do. So thank you so
Thank
much
you.
once again. And before you go, Net, would you like to sing or play your guitar for all the viewers and the audiences, if you wish? It will be really a nice ending of this podcast.
I'll sing a little song, not with my guitar.
Sure.
Um, all right, it's a little jingle that I learned from a group called, I think they're titled "A Beautiful Chorus." So it goes. It's kind of a cute little song. It goes,
Go ahead.
"This little light of mine, it used to be too scared to shine. And when mine met yours, it would run and hide. But in time, I came to find I wanna shine so bright it makes the whole world smile and pay back the beautiful feeling that allows me to be whatever I wanna be. And I wanna be free and easy. There it is.
Great, great, great. Good job.
All
You
right.
might think singing as your alternative profession, Nit.
Thanks, Sandeep.
All right,
Appreciate
all
it,
right.
man.
So see
All
you
right, my
soon.
brother.
And are you
Take
planning to
care.
come in future to India? Maybe next year,
Uh,
next to next year.
I don't know. I'm not working at IMER anymore, so they won't pay for me
Yeah,
to
yeah.
fly out there. But
No,
I could see
as
myself.
as a traveler to
I
explore
know.
the country.
Yeah. At some point in my life, I probably will come back to India.
Mm,
I don't know how soon it will be, but yes.
mm.
Yeah.
Because I want you to come to India and I want you to visit the southern part of the country,
Mm,
many monasteries and all, where spirituality and holisticism are being taught and also practiced in a very
yeah.
large manner. So I want you to
Mm,
go through it. You can check online also, but if you come there and if you feel the atmosphere, na, because you are into that profession, you are thinking to change your profession. So since it's going to be a life changing experience for you.
mm. Thanks, Sandeep. I'll let you know if I need some tips as I plan that. All right, my friend.
All the best to you, and hope
You
that
too.
whatever career you are choosing, you will get all the success in this world and
Thank you.
become happier, wealthy, happy, and more importantly safe, because this is the thing everybody now is bothered, that are you safe, because we are
Yeah,
at COVID-19.
I know.
So
All
thank you so
right.
much once again, Nate. Bye bye, take
You're
care,
welcome.
and
Good night, Sandeep. I'll talk to you next time.
have a nice day.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.